wonderful day. We are talking about caloric restriction today. The topic today is stop starving yourself. If you're not losing weight, it's probably because you're not eating enough calories. And that is the mistake. So, again, this is part of a live video series that I'm creating at the moment. It's called The Dirty Truth, the top 5 mistakes that women over 40 make when they want to lose weight. Now, cutting your calories too low is a mistake made by a lot of women. But I think that it's something that I see more often in women over 40 and even more so in women over 50. And I think that's happening for a couple of reasons. I think it's because, number one, weight loss is a little bit more challenging when you're over the age of 40. And I talked all about that yesterday when I talked about mistake number 1, and I was talking about how your physiology is changing and your hormones are changing, and weight loss just becomes a little bit more challenging when you're over the age of 40. But also, I think that women often read or are told that their metabolism is slowing down. And yes, that is true. Your metabolism is slowing down, but it's not slowing down as much as you think it is, especially if you're an active woman. Nonetheless, like this message that we need to cut our calories, it is pervasive, it is everywhere. You'll see it in the media, you'll see it, it's just common knowledge. You'll get it perhaps from a misinformed personal trainer. Your doctor might even tell you to do this. Everyone is going to be telling you, in order to lose weight, all you have to do is eat less calories and do more exercise. And if you're already doing that, they may tell you to do it even harder, or you may just tell yourself, I need to do it harder. That happens all the time too. And unfortunately, this advice, it only makes weight loss harder. And I'm going to explain why that is in today's live video. So thank you for watching, and please let me know in the comments below if you're catching this live or if you're catching the replay, because it helps me see when you get the information. So right now, just comment live or replay. That would be fantastic. And it also helps me get this video out to more of you. All right, so if you're just joining, if you're just hopping on, today I'm talking about a very specific weight loss model, which is the Eat Less, Move More model, which basically what it's trying to do is create a negative energy balance. So it's trying to create a situation where there are less calories coming into your body than what your body is burning throughout the day. And this does not work as a long-term strategy. And I want to be specific about saying long-term, because I'm sure that there are plenty of you that have cut their calories and seen results. And it makes perfect sense, because if you cut your calories and you create a negative energy balance, your body needs to compensate for the missing calories. And it will compensate by taking stored energy from inside your body to give you the energy that you need, or to balance out those calories. And those calories will come from possibly from the stored glycogen in your liver or your muscles. It may come from the protein in your muscles, which is not a good thing. We don't want that to happen. And hopefully it also comes from your fat cells. Another thing that you may have heard is that in order to lose a pound a week, you need to cut your calories by 500 a day, because 3,500 calories is the equivalent of 1 pound of weight loss. So again, it makes perfect sense. However, I would love for you guys to let me know how many of you are intentionally creating a caloric deficit and are not seeing weight loss. And you can put that in the comments. You can just put your hand up, just show of hands who is struggling with that. Maybe you're counting calories on MyFitnessPal, and you're doing keto, and you're fasting, and you're doing it all, and you're not seeing any results, and you're like, what is going on? So put your hand up, let me know. I see this in a lot of different groups, including this one, and I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here. So number one, your metabolism isn't a calculator. So I think this is where, and again, this is from media and from common knowledge, but we have a tendency to think of our metabolism as a calculator, right? So if I burn 2,000 calories a day and I restrict my calories by 500, but I continue to burn 2,000. So now I've created a caloric deficit. I'm only eating 1,500, so I should lose weight. So weight loss is a way more complicated than simple math. So I'm going to teach you a new way to think about your metabolism. So moving forward, I want you to think about your metabolism as a thermostat. So think about what a thermostat is designed to do. So you, in the wintertime, you set your thermostat to say 20 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. And then your thermostat, then all it does is it adapts and it regulates. So if the house gets too cold, it turns the furnace on. If the house gets too warm, it turns the furnace off. So your metabolism does the exact same thing. So it's always adapting to maintain a certain setting. And that certain setting is called homeostasis, which is your body's happy place. This is where it likes to be, and this is its main job, is to maintain that. And it does that all day, every day, all the time. And that might be just regulating the sugar, the amount of sugar you have in your bloodstream. It could be regulating sodium levels. It could be regulating your body's temperature. It could be regulating the balance between energy in and energy out, okay? So when you push on your metabolism by eating less calories, your metabolism adapts, it adjusts the same way that a thermostat would do. And so you might be wanting, like, your goals and your metabolism goals are completely different. You want to lose weight. You want to fit in a size 8 or a size 6 or a size 10. You want to go to the beach and feel comfortable in your swimsuit. Your metabolism has one goal, which is survival. That's all it cares about. It does not care about anything else. And so the moment that it senses that there's an energy deficit or a negative energy balance, it's going to adapt in order to protect you. Now, some research suggests that it starts to adapt within 7 to 14 days after it starts to sense a caloric deficit. And I'm going to tell you exactly what it does in a moment. But first, I just want to give you one more example to make sure that you understand, like, what this looks like in real life. So let's say that your body currently has a total daily expenditure of 2,000 calories. So that includes just your resting metabolic rate, so just the calories that you burn to be alive. It includes the calories you burn from just moving around and from eating certain foods and from exercising, right? So your total calories. So let's say you follow the sort of popular advice and you cut your calories by about 500 calories a day in order to lose weight. And at first, you see some weight loss. You will see it at the beginning because you are creating a negative balance. But what's going to happen is now your body's going to sense that and it will adapt. And what it will do, it will down-regulate. It will do things to down-regulate how many calories you burn. So you used to burn 2,000 and now suddenly you only burn 1,500. It has down-regulated. So that's when you hit a weight loss plateau and your diet stops working. So then you've got kind of two choices. You can eat less food. Maybe you could cut your calories down to 1,200, or you could add in some extra cardio, go to the gym more often. Again, in that, all with that goal of trying to create that negative energy balance. But again, the metabolism adapts and it keeps going until you kind of have nowhere left to go. And then what might happen is that you might start to be like really hungry, and suddenly you've got all these cravings, and maybe you're a little bit moody and you have less energy, and the weight isn't even moving. So you're like, well, screw this. I'm done with this diet. It's clearly not working. And you kind of take a diet break. And when you take that diet break, now your sort of baseline metabolism has been down regulated maybe to 1200 calories, and you take a diet break and you start eating 2000 calories again. So now, as you can imagine, now we've got a positive energy balance happening, and you're eating more than your body needs, and so you're going to gain weight. Does that make sense so far? I can see a couple of you are watching. I'd love to know if that's making sense. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what exactly is happening in your body. So another way that I like to think about the metabolism is like a boomerang. So if you think of a boomerang, right, you throw it and it goes in one direction and then it swings back around and comes flying right back at you. So that's another great way of thinking of your metabolism. The more you push against it, the harder it pushes back against you. So when you start a diet and you start to cut your calories, again, like I said, you will, at the beginning, you will see weight loss. But within 7 to 14 days, and this is a generalization, some women won't notice it so quickly, but here's what's going to happen. So number one, you're going to start to notice more hunger and more cravings. And this is your body basically willing you to eat more. Your body is sending you signals. And what it can do in order to do that is it can actually increase the hormone ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and it can decrease the hormone leptin, which is your satiety hormone. The other thing it can do is you might notice you have less energy, and your body can subconsciously will you to move less. Now, here's something that's really cool. So there's something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is basically just daily movement. So it could be like me moving my hands, blinking my eyes, tapping my feet, you know, like we twitch, right? Standing, whatever it may be, this kind of movement. It has been proven that when people are in a caloric deficit, all of that slows down. And again, this is your body subconsciously willing you to find balance. Pretty crazy, right? Okay, but let's say you do not pay attention to your body's signals and you keep on dieting. So now the metabolism pushes back harder. So the next sort of level of what it might do is it might actually down-regulate your resting metabolic rate. So this is where it can start to have an impact on the hormone, on the thyroid hormone. And if you watched yesterday, I was telling how the hormone thyroid basically is the master regulator of your metabolism. So it can actually, your body, your metabolism can actually slow that down again to compensate for the imbalance that you've created with calories in, calories out. And then of course, you might notice more hunger and more cravings and less energy. And if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, your metabolism can adapt even further. So you might notice insomnia, perhaps you start to notice depression, perhaps you start to notice your libido and changes to your menstrual cycle, because your body is not going to let you have a baby if you are not eating enough calories. And I know none of you probably want to have a baby, but that's how your metabolism is thinking, right? You could also start to notice signs and symptoms of adrenal fatigue because the body is stressed out, or perhaps you actually push yourself into metabolic disorder, aka hypothyroidism, right? So these are all things, and it happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. But this is when we use caloric restriction as a long-term strategy. Does that make sense for those of you that are watching? I hope so. We're going to be moving into the solution here. But first, I want to give you a little stat that's a little surprising, but your metabolism can adjust by up to 45%. That is a huge number. Let that sink in for a second. That's how much your body can adapt to the lack of calories that you're giving it, or to the fact that you're adding in too much exercise, which we're going to talk about a bit more tomorrow. But the good news is your metabolism is not broken. Your metabolism is actually doing exactly what it was designed to do, which is to protect you. And again, the metabolism is very adaptive. So just as it can down-regulate, it can also up-regulate if you eat more calories. So we're going to move into the solution here. Okay, so here's how to lose weight without causing metabolic compensation. So there are lots of different strategies. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to outsmart the body, right? So we're trying to create a caloric deficit without letting our metabolism know that we're creating a caloric deficit. And what it entails is it entails periods of intermittent caloric restrictions. So basically periods of time where you're intentionally restricting your calories, and then periods of time where you go back to sort of like your maintenance calories, right? Homeostasis, so that the body never thinks that it's going into starvation mode and it doesn't go into compensation and adaptation. Okay, does that make sense? So one thing that I am going to point out here before I give you some of the popular ways of doing this is that you need to change your perspective on weight loss. So a lot of women go into weight loss expecting the scale to just go down and down and down and down and down and down and down. And we need to stop thinking of weight loss in that way. So what I'm going to teach you here, as you're going through phases, it might look more like down, maintain, down, maintain, down, maintain. Or it could even be down, up just a little bit, down, up just a little bit, down, up just a little bit, down. Okay, so the point being is that it's not going to be a constant downward. There's going to be fluctuations and it's going to take time. Think about how much time it took you to put the weight on. Well, the same is true of taking it off. The steadier you go, the more sustainable it's going to be, because you're not going to be creating that metabolic compensation. Okay. All right. So one technique is something called reverse dieting. Somebody had asked me about that. I can't remember when. So essentially with reverse dieting, what you do is you intentionally create metabolic compensation. So you cut the calories, you add more exercise. When you plateau, you cut the calories further, you add more exercise. When you plateau, you do that again until you reach a point where you plateau for 2 weeks and there's nowhere left to go. Okay? So when you get to that point, you reverse diet. So that was your weight loss phase. And when you go into reverse dieting, what you do is you slowly add calories, you take away a little exercise. Add more calories, take away a little exercise. And you build your metabolism back up so that you can move back into a caloric deficit again. Okay? So that is called reverse dieting. And again, there's 2 cycles. There's going to be a cycle where you lose weight, and there's going to be a cycle where you maintain and possibly slightly gain. But it's important before you can get back into losing weight again. Another popular strategy is called diet breaks. I've talked about this one before. I've written a blog post about it, but essentially what it would entail is that you would cut your calories for 2 weeks by, say, 20 to 30%, and then you would take 2 weeks off and you would go back to maintenance. And then you would do 2 weeks of cutting your calories and 2 weeks of maintenance. And again, there is research that shows that women who do it, men or women who do it this way, will lose just as much weight as the men and women that constantly diet. But more importantly, because they're not creating that metabolic compensation, they don't gain weight back, which is a really key thing here, right? Another way to think about this, and this is more popular in the world of fasting for anyone who's fasting. So in this one, sort of the phases are sort of like the famine phase and the feast phase. So the famine phase is when you're incorporating fasting strategies, and depending on what you're doing, some people like to do OMAD or 24 days or alternate day fasting. There's all kinds of different ways of doing this, but the purpose, there's a couple of purposes, but one of them is definitely intentionally limiting caloric intake. But that cycle of fasting or famine is broken up with feasting days. And on those feasting days, you are intentionally eating more calories to once again be like, it's okay, body, we're not starving. You can, keep revving along. Okay. So that's kind of like that feast famine cycle. And then the way that I like to do it is, I like to do it sort of like just like on a weekly basis. I kind of incorporate a little bit of everything. So, for instance, I might do some intermittent fasting, and I don't count my calories. I know that there are certain days that I naturally eat less, and there are certain days that I naturally eat more. I always, if I am like sort of trying to, if I'm in a fat loss phase, I might do a bit more fasting because for me, that's a natural way to reduce my caloric intake. But I always make sure that there is a feast day in there or a day where I kind of have like a flex meal or a cheat meal. And I know that I'm going to eat way more calories on that day. And again, just signal to my body that I'm not in starvation mode. So those are some thoughts. I mean, really the main takeaway that I want you guys to pick up from this is that if you're going to restrict your calories as a tool to lose weight, which you're probably going to have to, we do need to see some kind of a caloric deficit. Do it intermittently. Do not do it day in, day out, every day, and don't aim for, say, a specific number of calories every single day. Add some variation. Do some calorie restriction, but also add in some feast days or at least some maintenance weight days, so that you can avoid the adaptation of your metabolism that will just slow it all down and make you feel super frustrated. Again, if this resonates, I don't know if you caught it yesterday, but if this does resonate with you, but you're just like, oh my God, I don't know where to begin, feel free to reach out to me. I do offer private coaching services. And I do have a brand new program. It's called Flat Belly Over 40, and it incorporates a lot of what I'm teaching you right now. And I am doing a Black Friday promo. If you want to learn more, you can send me a message or you can comment below. I can send you some details about the case study program, the Flat Belly Over 40. And then if you're interested, if it resonates, then the next step would be to set up a flat belly strategy session with me, because I need to make sure that we're a good fit and that I can actually help you. We can talk about your goals, what you're currently doing, what's getting in your way. And then if it makes sense, then we can talk about working together. And if it doesn't, then I will still give you some suggestions and send you in a different direction that I think will be more beneficial to you. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. Tomorrow is mistake number 3, and I'm going to be talking about why doing more cardio, so running, treadmill, aerobic classes, why that might not be the best strategy for weight loss when you're a woman over the age of 40. Thank you very much. I hope that was super useful. Let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up or a heart. Let me know what you learned, sort of what stuck out the most for you. Have a fantastic day. Tomorrow I will be on at 3 p.m. and I hope to see you then. Bye.